The product I want to show you today is the Jacquard Meat Tenderizer. It's only $25 on Amazon, and it will change the way that you cook meat in your kitchen. Okay? When you're cooking chicken, what is the most difficult part for you? What is the problem with cooking chicken for you?
Cooking it the right amount so it's not tough, but it's juicy and tender.
Juicy and tender, that's the way you want your meat to be, right? And with chicken, it's really hard because it's fat on one side, it's thin on the other side. Mm-hmm. It's very temperamental. You got to take it off at exactly the right time and cook it. Yeah, chicken is very difficult. I agree with you there. It's very tough. I want to show you something that's going to change the way you cook chicken. Okay. When you think of a meat tenderizer, you probably imagine something like this, right? Mm-hmm. It's very heavy. It has spikes on one end. And the idea behind a meat tenderizer is that you slam it down into the meat and try to break up the fibers in the meat. Okay. And the problem with a tenderizer like this, there's a couple of problems. First, when you're smashing it down into the meat, you're spraying juices all over the place. Unsanitary meat juices all over your kitchen, right? And then you have to sanitize everything that it touches, or you have to put something over the top of the meat, which really defeats the purpose of these spikes. It doesn't allow it to really penetrate into the meat. The other problem is that it smashes it down, and it doesn't allow your meat to have the same shape and the same texture that it had before you smashed it, right? And when you're cooking meat, you want that texture. You want the good juicy flavor and the good texture as you're going through it. Let me show you how this is different, okay? So when you're, the name of the game when you're tenderizing your meat is you want to break up the fibers in the meat. Because if you look at any piece of meat, you'll see that there are veins and fibers running through the meat. Okay, you'll notice that there's a grain, kind of like wood. If you look at wood and look at meat, you can notice the grain running through it. Okay, and that's long, sinuous fibers that stretch through the meat. And as the meat cooks, those fibers condense and they get closer together and they get, they pack in there more tightly. And that makes the meat tough. It makes it harder to chew and harder to cut. So when you're tenderizing, what you want to do is you want to clip those fibers so that they're shorter. And if they're shorter, they can't condense as much, they can't lose as much moisture, they stay tender and they stay juicy, and helps in the cooking process. So what you're going to see with the Jacquard is you don't have to smash it down on the meat like the other tenderizers. You place it gently on there, and then you push down. And what comes out is a series of knives poking right out of the bottom, okay, that puncture down into the meat. And without smashing it, it cuts through those fibers. And when it does that, it makes it so your meat retains its moisture, makes it so your meat cooks faster. Let me explain why. You put holes into the meat. So when you're cooking and you get airflow, the hot air moving around your pan or moving around your grill, if you have holes in the meat, like the Jacquard creates, the heat will actually go up into the meat and cook the meat from the inside out. It will decrease your cooking time by 40%. The other thing that it does is those holes allow for your marinades and your seasonings to get down into the meat. If you're smoking the meat, it allows that smoky flavor to get right up inside of there. So not only does it make it more tender by cutting through those fibers, it also makes it more flavorful, and it makes it cook quicker. Very exceptional product. It's only $25 on Amazon. I would suggest you buy one as soon as possible. What do you think? Will you go out and buy your own Jacquard so you can cook your meat more tenderly?
Yeah.
Awesome.